Have you ever felt held back by unseen forces? We all experience moments of self-doubt and limitation. It's time to break free. Let's embark on a journey to understand our emotions and reclaim our self-freedom. This journey begins by understanding the difference between feelings and emotions. Emotions are physical reactions within our bodies. Feelings are how we perceive and interpret those physical sensations. Today, we'll confront three powerful emotions: anger, fear, and guilt. These emotions are often called the three horsemen of the apocalypse. By understanding these emotions, we can disarm them. Let's begin. Anger is a fiery emotion, readily visible in its extreme forms. We see it in outbursts, aggression, even violence. But anger also simmers beneath the surface. Fear, often seen as a survival mechanism, can be a powerful motivator. However, many of our fears are not rooted in immediate danger. They stem from our thoughts, anxieties about the future, and imagined threats. Finally, there's guilt. True remorse leads to growth. Guilt keeps us trapped in a cycle of self-punishment and regret. Awareness is the first step toward breaking free. Anger can manifest in countless ways. It might be the sharp retort, the slammed door, or the cold silence. We may even direct anger inward, suppressing it until it festers. This internalized anger is dangerous. It can lead to anxiety, depression, and even physical health problems. The key is to acknowledge our anger without letting it control us. We can learn to observe our anger, understand its triggers, and choose a healthier response. By understanding our anger, we take the first step toward freedom. Anger is a powerful emotion, capable of boiling over if left unchecked. It can feel like a pressure cooker inside, building and building until it explodes. But what happens when we try to suppress our anger? Imagine trying to hold a beach ball underwater. Suppressed anger works in a similar way. It doesn't just disappear, it festers and grows, leading to resentment, bitterness, and even physical ailments. We might try to ignore it, push it down, or pretend it doesn't exist. But the truth is, denying our anger only gives it more power over us. It can manifest in passive-aggressive behaviors, self-sabotage, or even turn inward, leading to self-criticism and low self-esteem. The first step to overcoming anger's grip is to acknowledge its presence. The key is to recognize it, understand it, and learn to manage it constructively. We all have our triggers, those situations or behaviors that set off our anger alarm system. It might be a disrespectful comment, a broken promise, or feeling unheard and unseen. Identifying these triggers is crucial to managing our anger effectively. Think about the last time you felt angry. What happened? Who was involved? What were you feeling just before the anger surfaced? By paying attention to these patterns, we can start to anticipate our reactions and develop healthier coping mechanisms. Take some time to reflect on your anger triggers. Remember, recognizing our triggers is not about blaming others. When anger flares up, it's often tempting to react impulsively, firing off angry texts, emails, or saying things we later regret. This is where the unsent letter technique can be incredibly helpful. Find a quiet space where you can be alone with your thoughts. Grab a pen and paper or open a document on your computer. Address it to the person you're angry with and then let it all out. Write down everything you want to say, holding nothing back. The purpose of this exercise is not to send the letter, but to release the pent-up anger in a safe and healthy way. The act of writing itself can be incredibly cathartic, allowing you to process your emotions and gain clarity without causing further damage to your relationships. When anger threatens to overwhelm us, one of the most effective techniques is to create distance between ourselves and the emotion. This doesn't mean ignoring the anger or pretending it doesn't exist. It's about observing it without judgment, like a scientist studying a fascinating, albeit intense, phenomenon. Notice the physical sensations associated with your anger. Simply observing these sensations without attaching any judgment or story to them can help to diffuse their power. Deep breathing exercises can also be incredibly powerful in moments of anger. These simple yet effective techniques can help to calm your nervous system, create a sense of inner peace, and allow you to respond to the situation from a place of clarity and composure. Fear, like a silent predator, can paralyze us, holding us captive in its chilling grasp. It whispers doubts, magnifies threats, and keeps us from living our lives fully. We may avoid opportunities, sabotage our own success, or withdraw from meaningful connections, all in the name of fear. Fear often masquerades as a protector, a survival mechanism designed to shield us from harm. But we don't have to be prisoners in fear's shadowy realm. How do we break free from fear's grip? The first step is recognizing that fear often distorts our perception of reality. It magnifies risks, minimizes our strengths, and convinces us that the worst-case scenario is not only possible, but probable. Like a funhouse mirror, fear warps our self-image, making us feel smaller, weaker, and less capable than we truly are. But what if we dared to question these fear-based narratives? What if we challenged the assumptions that underpin our anxieties and examined them under the bright light of reason and self-awareness? The simple act of questioning our fears can be incredibly empowering. When we judge our fears, labeling them as irrational or silly, we only push them further down, creating resistance and shame. A more compassionate approach is to approach our fears with curiosity, like explorers venturing into uncharted territory. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me that I'm afraid?" we can shift the inquiry to, "What is this fear trying to teach me? What message is it conveying about my needs, values, or beliefs?" By exploring the root of our fears, we can begin to understand the underlying needs that are seeking our attention. When we address the root cause, the fear itself often begins to dissipate. Sometimes the best way to overcome fear is to simply shift our perspective. When we're caught in the grip of fear, it's easy to get lost in the minutiae, fixating on the potential risks and overlooking the bigger picture. We might obsess over a minor setback, blowing it out of proportion, or allow a single critical comment to derail our entire day. But what if we zoomed out, widening the lens through which we view our experiences? Imagine looking back on this moment a year from now, 5 years from now, or even a decade into the future. Will this fear still hold the same weight? Will it matter as much as it does in this very moment? Often, simply shifting our time perspective can help us to gain a healthier detachment from our fears. Guilt can be a heavy burden, whispering accusations and condemning us for past mistakes or actions we haven't taken. It saps our energy, dims our light, and keeps us stuck in self-recrimination. Unlike remorse, which fosters growth, guilt often stems from a distorted sense of self. We may carry guilt from childhood, internalizing critical messages. False guilt manifests in excessive apologizing and self-sabotaging behaviors. It erodes our self-esteem and prevents true joy. How do we differentiate between guilt, which keeps us trapped in the past, and remorse, which propels us toward growth and healing? The key lies in understanding the underlying motivations and the actions they inspire. Guilt often stems from a place of self-judgment and condemnation. It focuses on our perceived flaws, amplifying our mistakes and whispering that we are somehow broken or unworthy of love and acceptance. Remorse, on the other hand, arises from a place of empathy and compassion, both for ourselves and for those we may have harmed. It acknowledges the impact of our actions without diminishing our inherent worthiness. While guilt keeps us paralyzed in a cycle of self-blame and shame, remorse motivates us to make amends, repair relationships, and learn from our mistakes. Guilt often manifests as self-sabotaging behaviors, a way of unconsciously punishing ourselves for perceived transgressions or shortcomings. We might procrastinate on important projects, avoid opportunities for growth, or engage in unhealthy coping mechanisms, all in the name of self-inflicted punishment. These self-sabotaging patterns can be subtle and insidious, operating just below the level of conscious awareness. Breaking free from these patterns requires a willingness to examine our beliefs about ourselves, challenge negative self-talk, and cultivate a more compassionate and forgiving inner dialogue. Instead of focusing on our perceived flaws and shortcomings, we can shift our attention to our strengths, accomplishments, and the inherent goodness that resides within each of us. Self-forgiveness is an essential step in breaking free from the grip of guilt. It's not about condoning harmful actions or denying the impact of our mistakes. It's about releasing the weight of self-judgment and embracing the possibility of redemption and growth. Just as we would offer compassion and understanding to a loved one who has made a mistake, we can learn to extend the same grace to ourselves. We can acknowledge our humanness, accept that we are imperfect beings capable of both great love and occasional missteps. Self-forgiveness is a process, not a destination. It's about choosing to release the burden of guilt and embrace the freedom that comes from knowing that we are worthy of love, forgiveness, and the opportunity to create a brighter future. We've explored the depths of anger, fear, and guilt, those powerful emotions that can hold us captive if left unchecked. Now, let's explore practical strategies to tame these inner storms and reclaim our emotional freedom. Remember the boiling pot of anger? Instead of letting it explode, we can learn to regulate the heat. When anger surfaces, hit the pause button. Don't react impulsively. Step back, breathe deeply, and create space for a calmer, more measured response. Imagine this. You're about to send a scathing email fueled by anger. Instead, you save it as a draft and revisit it the next day. Often, you'll realize the urge to send has passed, and you can address the situation more constructively. Embracing the power of the pause. Deep breathing is a powerful tool for navigating emotional turbulence. When anger flares, fear takes hold, or guilt whispers its insidious doubts, take a moment to connect with your breath. Inhale deeply, filling your lungs with life-giving oxygen, and exhale slowly, releasing tension and negativity. Deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, calming the body's stress response and creating a sense of inner peace. Journaling is another powerful tool for processing emotions and gaining clarity. Writing can be incredibly cathartic, allowing us to release pent-up emotions, gain perspective, and cultivate self-awareness. Shifting perspectives, embracing freedom. Challenge those limiting beliefs and embrace a more empowering perspective. View challenges as opportunities for growth. Shifting our perspective is like changing the lens through which we view the world. Recognize our power to choose our responses and create a life aligned with our values. You are not alone. The journey to emotional freedom is not one we have to take alone. Reach out to trusted friends, family members, or a therapist for support. Sharing our experiences with compassionate listeners can be incredibly healing and empowering. Remember, seeking help is not a sign of weakness. It's a testament to our strength and resilience. It's a recognition that we deserve support, that we don't have to navigate life's challenges in isolation. As we cultivate self-awareness, practice self-compassion, and seek support when needed, we begin to heal the wounds of the past, release the grip of fear, anger, and guilt, and step into the fullness of our being. We discover that true freedom lies not in controlling our emotions, but in befriending them, understanding their messages, and harnessing their energy to create a life of purpose, joy, and authentic connection. Embracing self-freedom and personal growth. Understanding and managing emotions is about transforming our relationship with them. Each emotion carries valuable lessons, guiding us towards self-awareness and growth. Embracing self-freedom means acknowledging our emotions without letting them control us. Observe anger, fear, and guilt as messengers, not enemies. This creates space for mindful responses aligned with our true selves. Consistent practice and self-compassion lead to a balanced life. Self-compassion and self-care are the cornerstones of transformation. They allow us to treat ourselves with kindness and nurture our well-being. Building healthier relationships with ourselves cultivates meaningful connections with others. Thank you for joining us on this journey with Life Coaching Elevation. Subscribe to our channel for more personal development tools and support. Together, let's continue to explore, learn, and grow into the best versions of ourselves.